Over the last 25 years, I've now sold more than $6 billion worth of real estate. I've built the top-selling team in LA and starred on Million Dollar Listing for 8 seasons and worked with some of the most demanding clients in the entire world. 25 years ago, I was figuring it out just like everybody else. I was grinding, I was hustling, making mistakes, learning lessons the hard way. And the gap between where I was then and where I am now isn't about effort, it's about evolution. The way I operated as a new agent is completely different from how I operate today. And the honest truth is, most agents never really make that shift. They stay stuck in the same patterns for years, wondering why their income plateaus, or why their business feels chaotic, or why they can't scale past a certain point. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through the 6 operating principles that separate a top 1% agent from everybody else. Not theory, not motivation, just the real tactical differences in how elite agents think, build, and execute compared to everybody else. And if you're serious about fast-tracking your career, this is the blueprint. Number 1, lead generation. The biggest mistake that I see new agents make is that they sit back and just wait for leads to come to them. They're hoping that somebody refers it to them, hoping their brokerage gives them some business, and hoping that something, just anything, happens. But working in sales means that lead generation is the business. That's why experienced agents start buying leads. You've got Zillow, Realtor.com, Facebook ads, even billboards today. Anywhere that they can plaster their face and logo, they do it. And don't get me wrong, it works. They're paying for attention, which is one of the most valuable assets there is in this industry. But here's the mistake they make. They think paying for attention is the same as owning attention, and it's not. Buying leads and then paying for advertising is coming from what I call rented attention. What does that mean? Well, the moment you stop paying is the moment your lead flow actually starts to dry up, which really means that you're building someone else's asset, not your own. Top 1% agents own the demand. They build an audience, they create content, they become the name people think of when they think of real estate in their market. They're not paying to interrupt someone's day as they're scrolling through Instagram Reels. They're earning the right to be a part of it, and that's a completely different game. Just to be clear here, I'm not saying that you shouldn't buy leads. I'm just saying that if that's your only strategy, you're capping your leverage. The agents who scale 8 and 9 figures aren't dependent on paid platforms. They've built their own distribution. And distribution is the most valuable asset that you can own, period. Number 2, follow up. I talk about it all the time because this is where most deals die. New agents have truly good intentions. They tell themselves, I'm gonna follow up, I'm gonna be consistent. They write it down, they set a reminder, but life happens. A deal gets busy, the reminder gets snoozed, and the lead goes cold. And 99% of the time, this happens because new agents either lack discipline or they just don't have a reliable system in place from the get-go. Experienced agents are better. They are disciplined. They do have a CRM. They have a process, but they rely on willpower and their own habits to stay consistent. For a while, sure, it works, but here's the problem. Systems and automation will always beat willpower. Top 1% agents don't rely on memory or discipline. They build automation that makes follow-up inevitable. Most of the top agents that I personally know do this by setting up a system. They hire an assistant who combs through their CRM and their inbox, and this way, the system does the work, leads have multiple touch points, relationships get nurtured, and most importantly, the agent stays top of mind without having to think about it. Because here's what I've learned. The money is in the follow-up. Not just the first phone call, not just the initial conversation. And if you don't believe me, only 2% of sales happen on first contact with a prospect. So if you're doing simple math, 98% of all sales require follow-up. 80% of sales require at least 5 follow-ups after the initial contact. The money is in showing up consistently over time, and if you're relying on yourself to do that manually, trust me, you are going to lose deals that you don't even know you lost. Now, I totally understand if you're just starting out in the business. You're not going to be able to hire a full-time assistant who can manage and look after your CRM and comb through your inbox. But lucky for you, we now live in a world where you can leverage AI to create assistants who do this for you and for less than 1% of the cost. And if you want to save a ton of time and energy, you can check out my company, Breezy, which is an AI productivity tool that does this for some of the top agents in the country. Link is in the description below. Number 3, client qualification. This is the identity shift that separates good agents from great ones. New agents, they take every single lead, every buyer, every renter, every listing. In the early days, this can make a ton of sense. You don't have a ton going on. You might as well chase every opportunity, but experienced agents start to get selective. They realize that not every client is a good fit. They start saying no to the bottom 20% because they start protecting their time a little bit more. But they're still taking on way more than they should because they're scared to turn down revenue. In the short term, it works great. Their business grows larger than ever before, but before they know it, their calendar's packed, and when they get the opportunity to represent bigger clients, they provide a lackluster service too because they're spread way too thin. That's where the top 1% agents understand something that most agents never learn. Saying no increases your income. They qualify hard, they turn down clients who aren't serious, they refer out deals that don't fit their model, and they do it without guilt because they know that every unqualified client you take on is stealing time from the client who actually move the needle. This is classic operations theory. You cannot increase throughput by adding volume. You increase throughput by reducing the things that slow you down. Unqualified clients slow you down more than anything else. So what does all of that mean? It means every buyer is pre-approved, every seller has realistic expectations, and they all fall into your area of expertise. Number 4, pricing strategy. New agents are essentially order takers, right? A seller tells you what they think their home is worth, maybe you pull the comps, and you give them a number that makes them feel good. Why? Because you're playing it safe. You're trying not to offend anyone. You're letting their feelings do the talking. Experienced agents get better at reading the market. They understand the nuance. They can justify a higher price if the property deserves it, but they ultimately rely on the data. But if you look at the top 1% agents, they shape perception. They don't just analyze the market, they position the property. They understand that pricing isn't just simple math. It's also psychology. It's framing. It's controlling narrative before the buyer even walks through the front door. And that's the difference between getting asking price and demanding a bidding war. This is where agents become advisors instead of service providers, and that is the shift that is everything. Number 5, your tech stack. When you're new, you don't have a system. You're using your phone, spreadsheets, a CRM that you signed up for that you never actually use. Everything you do is pretty much reactive. Why? Because you're just simply trying to keep up. Then you start to become a little more experienced and you start adding tools to the tech stack. A marketing platform there, a transaction coordinator tool, an email system, and on paper, yep, it looks like you're making progress. But here's the problem. None of it talks to each other. You're managing 5 different logins, you're switching between platforms and manually updating the same information in 3 different places. It's not a system. It's a collection of tools that just simply creates more work. The top 1% of agents, they understand that a unified operating system isn't a luxury, it's the infrastructure that makes everything else possible. One platform, one source of truth, everything connects. When your tech stack is fragmented, your business is fragmented, and fragmented businesses simply don't scale. And to me, this is where most agents lose years of their career. They think they're being productive because they're busy, but they're not building leverage, they're just building chaos. This is what companies like Compass are trying to solve. They're building proprietary technology that their agents can use to manage their entire business in one place. And for what it's worth, I think that is great. But there is just one problem. Not every single agent out there wants to uproot their entire career just to join a brokerage like Compass for access to their tech. And there's another issue most people don't think about, which is when your brokerage owns the CRM, they own your data, your contacts, your leads, they own everything. So if you later then decide to leave that brokerage, that data can become a problem. You risk losing a meaningful portion of your business, which can set you back months or even years. That's why it makes far more sense to keep your data in a platform that's independent of your brokerage. And yes, you guessed it, that's where tools like Breezy are truly going to shine. Number 6, time management. One of the most important there is. New agents are out there optimizing their calendar, they're trying to fit everything in, they're proud of being busy, they wear their schedule like a badge of honor. And so they should. Then you get the experienced agents that get better at blocking time, they protect their mornings, they batch their showings, they start to control their day instead of letting their day control them. But top 1% agents do something entirely different. They don't manage time, they redesign their role. They stop doing tasks that don't require their unique skill set. They hire, they delegate, they build a team, and ultimately they start asking, what can only I do? And everything else starts to get systematized or handed off. But here's the truth. You can't optimize your way to 900 million in sales. You can only get there by building leverage, and leverage means letting go of the things that you're good at so you can focus on the things only you can do. This is the final shift, and it's probably the hardest one because it requires you to stop being the executor and start being the architect. Here's the bottom line to all of this. The difference between a noob agent and a top 1% agent isn't talent. It's not connections. It's not even market timing. It's how you operate. It's whether you're building systems or managing chaos, whether you're owning attention or renting it, whether you're relying on discipline or automation, whether you're saying yes to everyone or only to the right people, whether you're reacting to the market or shaping the market, and whether you're managing your time or redesigning the role. Those are the 6 operating principles that change everything. And the best part yet, you don't have to sit back and wait 25 years to figure this out. You can start applying them today.